Hello, and welcome to Julia Child's cooking show. I wish I was Julia Child. Do that over again. Take 3. Hello guys, my name is Mike Brelsford. A lot of you have reached out to me for different recipes. Some of you don't know me, and you're watching this video for its own sake, but let me introduce myself first quickly. So my day job is a literature teacher at the college level. So I'm making cooking videos for one big reason. You. Basically, I'm making the videos for you because every week people ask me for a recipe for something, and I don't have the recipes typed up or anything. It's just how I've learned to make things, dishes that I love. So I want to have a way to send you these recipes in a way that actually makes sense. And of course, I'm posting this on all my social media, but I want to have a YouTube link where I can say, here's the recipe, here's everything in it, just watch the recipe. And in the YouTube, the description will contain the actual recipes of everything that I make. Good. Next point. I have all my points here.
Yep.
We will cut all of this. Should we cut that part? We should probably cut that part. Let's get to the Pomodoro. When I first started to make Pomodoro sauce, I was just making it for myself, so I didn't care if it was juicy. So I say juicy, a lot of people would say watery. I would post pictures years ago and people would be like, that plate is full of water. What the heck is that? And having zero sophistication at the time, now I'm sophisticated. I would just spoon that juice, that water, into my mouth, and I thought it was great. But I came to understand, okay, that is watery. That's a problem. That's not a consistency most people like. What I would describe a Pomodoro sauce as is juicy, okay? Versus your grandmother's sauce that she would simmer for 3 hours. So this Pomodoro sauce is juicy. Not watery, but juicy. We'll cook the water out of it for the most part. But we're only cooking it like a half hour. So it's really not that kind of like gravy that some people will call it. My family would never say gravy. The Italians in my family, that's for Thanksgiving. It's still sauce. It's still tomato sauce. This Pomodoro that I'm making is juicy. And so I have to emphasize that. I felt very validated when I read in this cookbook by Anthony Bourdain that my friend Zach got me. Bourdain actually has a Pomodoro sauce in here that is essentially how I was making it. Tomato sauce doesn't need a lot of ingredients, okay? In fact, it shouldn't have a lot of ingredients. Again, I felt validated by that because I liked that tomato flavor. Even if it was too watery, I really liked that it was just tomato based. As he says, let me stress this again so you know I'm serious. It's about the tomatoes. And it should take no more than 45 minutes preferably far less of actual cooking time. I felt validated because I was like, I don't personally prefer these sauces that have cooked for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I mean, if it's a bolognese, that's fine, but my preference is that Pomodoro sauce that's light, that's juicy, that's fresh. It's like the tomatoes are off the vine, The next point is the tomatoes themselves. Somebody said to me recently, if you're using canned tomatoes, you might as well just open a jar. I totally disagree with that. So I was talking to a certain scientist that I know who gave me, we'll link the article in the description. In terms of safety, first of all, canned tomatoes are super safe. Again, if you care about this, I will give you the link from the Food Network, but they're super safe. You don't have to worry about BPA really anymore. In terms of the freshness, a lot of times the canned tomatoes are picked in the height of their season and they are canned right away. So when you open that can, they are very close to fresh tomatoes. They really are. When you buy a jarred sauce, that sauce has been pre-cooked and then jarred. None of that is fresh. It's already gone through its chemical processes. So, when you're taking the time to dice an onion, to slice or mince the garlic, to add that fresh extra virgin olive oil and then mash up the tomatoes like I do in the video, that's so fresh. It's so fresh. And I don't hate a lot of jarred sauces. Again, it's that freshness of the entire dish coming together. I really do reject this idea that if you're using canned tomatoes, you might as well just use a jarred sauce. Types of canned tomatoes.
When to get rid of the water, when to drain them or not.
Good point. Types of canned tomatoes. Okay, so also not all cans of tomatoes are created equally, but there are definitely brands I've used in the supermarkets where they're in water, and you can just tell by opening them up. If it looks really watery, you want to drain those before you use them, because that half-hour simmer that I show in the video won't remove all of the water. Usually the better tomatoes, the San Marzano DOP certified, which means they are coming from a certain region in Naples. Those tomatoes are in puree, which is not a ton of extra water, so you don't actually have to drain them. It's just other tomatoes that have been pureed, and these San Marzano tomatoes are stewing in them. So, be careful about the brands you would use. And yes, if you're at the grocery store and you see that brand of tomatoes that is $5 a 28-ounce can, it's like, oh geez, that's so expensive. Yeah, but you're making it yourself. You're not going out to an Italian restaurant and spending $20 on spaghetti with marinara sauce. You're already saving so much money. Why not indulge that extra dollar or two?
You're not getting the quantity.
Oh, sorry. Oh, the jar. Sorry.
The jar.
Okay. So Megan's saying, the jar is usually like $8 or $9 for a good brand, and and you're getting a little more than half of that 28-ounce can. So I've just noticed that some of the cheaper brands, whether it's like a lot of the store name brands or whatever, when I go to hit them with the tomato masher, potato masher, I'm like, when I'm right in the eye, it's like I'm just guessing. I don't know this for a fact. It seems like they're taken maybe off season and they still can them anyway because they don't care. And, but the picture a tomato, right? Consider the tomato. And, you go in to mash it and it just goes right in when it's one of those really nice DOP certified San Marzano tomatoes. Otherwise, like I said, it's almost violent. You just go in, you don't think you're even going in that hard, and it just like right in the eye. And it always gets the eye. It's like the tomatoes can aim for the eye. People are worried about aliens. I'm worried about tomatoes. Anyway, the consistency of the sauce is up to you. So if you like it really smooth, then you can totally, go at it for a very long time. But if you like it chunkier, which I tend to, then Bourdain even says you could mash them up with a fork. So it really, it's totally up to you. Okay, so now we're going to, focus on the video step by step itself. Okay, so the first step is oil. I already heard from a few people who were like, wow, that seems like a lot of oil. I don't think it is. So you don't need to use as much extra virgin olive oil as I do there. I just coat the bottom of that pan. When I throw in the onions, you can see it doesn't even cover the diced onions. So if you want less oil, just use less. The problem is you're going to brown easier. If they're just about covered with extra virgin olive oil, then they're not going to brown as easily. And you really don't want them browned. It loses the moisture.
What don't you want browned?
The onions. Yeah, you don't want the onions browned. You don't want the garlic browned. You don't want the onions browned. Unless you do. Again, unless you do. If that's what you like, fine. But this is my show. So I don't brown the onions and I don't brown the garlic. So if you look and you see when I stirred through the onions, it really you can see there's really not a ton of oil in the pan. I think what happens is as the onions become translucent, as they start to cook, their juice releases and it starts to look like more liquid. And there is more liquid, but there's not as much oil. Garlic is sliced. It says in the video description sliced or minced. I sliced it there because I like the mouthfeel. Mouthfeel. It's always, it's a little intrusive. Right? Mouthfeel. Mouthfeel. It's like saying moist. If you want minced, then mince it. But I slice it because I like to actually bite into the garlic and taste the garlic. That, again, personal preference. Tomatoes. I said mash as much or as little as you want. Okay, we're getting towards the end. I always mix the pasta with the sauce. So I didn't get into like how to boil water and cook pasta because a lot of people I think are comfortable boiling pasta and then just adding a jarred sauce. So again, my whole goal here is to give you how to avoid that jarred sauce and get something that tastes really fresh, really delightful and light. One thing I would always say regarding the pasta is mix it in some of the sauce till the sauce is coating it, so it's not just a bunch of like sticky, starchy, blanched pasta sitting underneath this gorgeous sauce. Mix the sauce in there and then layer the sauce on top. I don't add sugar, okay? No, again, if I said it once, I said it 100 times. Do what you want. But sugar, once you taste, fantastic quality San Marzano tomatoes, you get used to that natural sugar in there. The last thing is drizzle a little bit of the extra virgin olive oil. I like this because you control it better, and it looks nice. Drizzle it over just a little bit. You don't want this thing greasy. You don't want it swimming in olive oil. It gives a little sheen and a little flavor. Thank you for watching the video. Please try this recipe. I have over 20 more recipes in the works. One of them is steaming behind me. I want to know your tips, your tricks, and I want us to all just have a lot of fun cooking. It really has become a stress reliever for me. It's become beyond a hobby, and I really get so much joy out of sharing these recipes with people. Please keep me posted. Please make the recipes. Please send me videos and pictures, and please remember to like and subscribe.